Here's a live look at Newtown, Connecticut. A news conference will happen any moment now. That's where the people are gathering. There's microphones, a podium set up. We expect to hear from state police as we get new information about the shooting and also about the victims. Joining us to talk about this, Dr. Erik Fisher, psychologist. And Erik, let's start there. We better be ready for another wave of emotions, right? Especially if we're going to hear information about little ones as young as 5 and maybe see pictures and begin to, when you start putting names and faces and what little ones like to do, it's going to be tough, isn't it?
It makes it real. You know, you start to get the sense of the lives that are affected, and you also tie it to your own personal life. You know, I know yesterday, thoughts of me going to my daughter and, you know, and what if this had been her situation and it affected us, as well as people have had other losses. It resonates with other people who have had similar losses, and then the lives that are affected that way. So it's not just that there's primary grief going on, there's secondary grief, you know, that people are going through just by watching this, which is why it's so important to take care of yourself and make sure that your kids aren't involved in seeing this stuff that's going on in the news.
How old's your daughter?
7.
Did she ask? Did you give her any information?
She has no idea what's going on. My wife will not turn on the TV today to anything of this, and I will not turn on the TV or talk about what. She just knows I came to CNN.
Okay, so as parents, how do we know our child is ready? Because it may not be an age number, it may be more of a maturity level, right?
You're right. I mean, because age and maturity are often independent of each other. So we can't just look at somebody and say, well, because they're 12 years old, they can understand this. It's not that easy. Sometimes we have to look at what are the things they're playing with, what are the things they're talking about, and even then you don't necessarily talk about this shooting, you talk about preparedness of what would you do if. Because sometimes for some kids, if you talk about the event, then they have something to latch onto, and then they can build fears around that. So I would want parents more to talk about preparedness of what would you do if, and where would you go if, and who would you call if.
And we have to reassure and build security back, right?
Right, and let them know what you're doing. This is what I will do. If this is a meeting place, this is a number you call, these are the things that you do if these things happen, and this is what I'm doing to make sure that you are safe.
Equipping and empowering. All right, Erik, hang with us here. Sure. Again, we're going to take just a quick break. Want to let everybody know a news conference.
Victims may be released. Want to bring back in Dr. Erik Fisher, a psychologist. Doctor, good to have you with us. We were speaking earlier. You have a 7-year-old daughter, and I was asking you, do you think the teachers will speak to your daughter at the school, and you don't think that's a good idea at this time for her?
No, I don't, because if kids haven't been purposely exposed to this, and my daughter has not seen anything, will not see anything, as I said, I don't think it's good to bring up. You don't talk about these things right now, and again, if kids have heard about it,
unless they come to you with a specific question.
And if teachers know that kids know about it, I would say the teachers go to those kids individually and say, let's not talk about this here. If you have questions, I'll answer them on the side, but I don't want to talk about this because I don't want other kids to feel upset if they don't understand what's going on. So I think schools should be talking to their parents and sending emails out or news blast your parents on what to do. Please don't have your kids watch this or hear about this. Make sure parents have the courage and strength to turn off their TV sets around when their kids are around. And also, like I said, the schools are going to be so important in following through with this.
It's a different story being here in Georgia than it is for the kids who were in that school building.
It is.
Who were there and witnessed that.
But vicariously, kids can experience, like I said, kids can experience trauma just in the fears of things happen. It really adds to their whole perception of the world, and is it safe?
You mentioned, Susan, a child or children that are survivors here. Let's listen, and it's a soundbite that hits all of us. A little guy talking about bullets whizzing by his head. Let's listen to that.
I saw some of the bullets going past the hall that I was right next to, and then a teacher pulled me into her classroom.
So you heard sounds?
Yes.
What did it sound like to you?
It sounded like someone was kicking a door.
Oh, it didn't sound like gunshots, did it?
No, it didn't.
Doctor, such an innocent voice there, but how much of his innocence has been ripped away because of what he saw and what he's telling us about?
It's a tough thing to see. You know, he is going to need to talk and work this out. At this point, it's kind of, you hear him talking about it, it's kind of like he just saw a movie. It's kind of how he's talking about it. It's surreal. It will start to sink in. And from losing my brother at 8 years old, that's something that sunk in for years to come. And it's something that, at the time, you know, you didn't have the services that we have today psychologically and things like that. Every parent there needs to know that their child is going to need help for some time. If they draw, look at their drawings, let them write, let them express it in all the ways, because often trauma is stored in our nonverbal parts of our brain. So expressive arts therapies, whether it's singing or drawing or writing, are so important to healing and through this process.
So this has to hit you. You mentioned your brother. We're sorry about that loss. You have a 7-year-old girl.
Yes.
Real quick, it's difficult for you. I mean, you really have to lean on your professional expertise here for you to get through it and to give us some good information.
It is tough, and I'm fortunate to lean on my wife too. She's been a great support, and she's there to listen and understands. And because we have such a good relationship and communicate well, it's a huge thing to be able to fall back on that.
Yeah, thanks again, Eric. We appreciate
Thanks
your
for having
expertise
me.
on that.